at a Fabrengen Baleischa Tafshem Mem Aleph, the Rebbe said that Mashiach needs two Sifrei Torah. Every king, and especially Melech Mashiach, needs two Sifrei Torah. The two Sifrei Torah of Melech Mashiach will be one Sefer Torah, the Kabbalah B'nai Mashiach, and the second one will be the first children Sefer Torah, because the Yaldi Yisroel are called Mashiach, Atigu b'Mashiach, Elu to make Beis Rabbim. The children are considered the anointed ones, the Mashiach of the Eibishter. So those will be the two Sifrei Torah of Melech Mashiach.
I'm Yossi Kamen. Welcome to Among Chsidim by Der Her, an ongoing farbrengen about life as a chassid, our vibrant connection with the Rebbe, and inspired living shaped by the way he teaches us each and every day. How are you, Bruchim Habayim, Rabbi Greisman?
Baruch Hashem, and you?
I'm doing well, Baruch Hashem, and thank you for being available all the way from Eretz Kodesh, Eretz Yisroel. And I actually was reading a article that the Her wrote a bunch of years ago about the Shluchei Kodesh, those that the Rebbe sent to Eretz Yisroel. Tafshal Lamed Vav, Lamed Zayin, Lamed Ches. There's three groups, and one group of three installments. I'm not sure exactly how it's classified, but you were a part of that, and that's what you're doing there, right?
Correct.
So today in your specific shlichus, I believe the main focus is the Sefer Torah for Yaldi Yisrael, for the Jewish children. So maybe I don't know if we should start off with the shlichus to Eretz Yisrael or before that, when you were in 770. How would you what would you like to do?
I mean, I was in 770, but I don't know what I'm going to add to you for about 770. I was in 770, like every Bachar, it's in 770, from Tafshin Chav Ches till we went on Shlichus and Lamed Vav. And whatever happened in 770 happened. It's recorded, the Sichos, the Maimonim, the Yomanim. I don't really have much to add to that.
Where are you from? You're from Brooklyn?
I was born in Brooklyn, East New York, where most of the Jewish community lived then. That came out after Europe and came to live in East New York. And a little bit of Brownsville, East New York. I was more in East New York than Brownsville. And my parents are not a Lubavitcher family, we're a Baalisher family that came from Europe and settled in Brooklyn. And decided to send myself and my brother to United Lubavitch Yeshiva in Bedford and Dean, and that's where I was from probably Tafshin Tes Zayin until Tafshin Chav Gimel, and then I went to 7-7 till Chav Zayin, finished 12 years, and Tafshin Chav Ches I started 770.
Why did they decide to send you to Bedford and Dean?
The Eibishter West.
I'm you're very thankful for for that.
What's the shaila? Yeah, 100%. There were a lot of at those days. There were a lot of non-Lubavitch families that learned in Bedford and Dean. A lot of them, not too many of them, stayed on for whatever reason. Today you have Bochrim, Shluchim, you have Yavna the Chachameh, and every yeshiva and every mesa. There's Bochrim that go out and take care and daiga for worry about all the younger Bachram from Bachram that are not from Lubavitcher families. But in those days it wasn't so, it didn't really happen that much. So some families, the Eibishter at Kefir, the Rebbe's in Yonim, that he wanted us and to stay in Lubavitch. And that's where we are.
So I was actually thinking about that. I've met a lot of people over the years, or heard a lot about people, and met people that lived in Bedford and Dean. So what those that stayed on in Lubavitch, you don't have to talk about those, talk about yourself and your family. What was the chiluk that made you stay on and go to 770. Like, what was the Rebbe involved in that, or that was something that you decided?
Probably the Rebbe was involved, and whatever. That's what happened. That some people stayed, and some people went to other places. Whatever.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you're in 770, and you're a bacher when this whole the Shluchas to Eretz Yisrael starts, right? Some of them were married, I believe.
No, I was after marriage, almost a year after marriage.
Oh, you
I
were
was
married
married.
already.
Hey, yeah. Lamed Hey and Lamed Vav was just about already a year after the Chassan.
So what happened? How did this go on? The Shluchas to Eretz Yisrael.
The Rebbe started with Yutas Kislev at the Fabringen. Come out was at the end of the Fabringen, probably close to 3:00 in the morning, and that was after the Nigunim was a sign of the end of the Fabringen. And then the Rebbe said that all the Rebbeim had a special connection and an interest in Eretz Kodesh, from the Alter Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe, till the Friedrich Rebbe. And the Rebbe says he has now a feeling, is what I remember the word, to send two groups, an Eid Kadesha to Yerushalayim Kodesh and an Eid Kadesha to Tzvas Kodesh. Originally it was supposed to be 10 to Tzvas and sent to Yerushalayim. And the purpose was to be Mechazek Eretz Yisroel through different times. I don't know if it was at Fabringens or at different times when he spoke to Rabbi Mentlik, who was appointed to come along as the head of the Mishlachas of the group that was going to Eretz Yisroel. And the Rebbe said the purpose of the Shlichus is he wants to strengthen Eretz Yisroel, bolster the morale of the people there, binyan ha'aretz, begashmis or baruchnis, begashmis by living there, baruchnis by working in the Rebbe's work, and people should sign up. Afterwards, after Maskiris came out details of how the shluchim were going to be picked. They had to be either a year before wedding or a year after marriage, not affiliated with a different Mesa. The Rebbe didn't want to take anybody away from a Mesa that they were connected to. And everybody should sign, and then the names went in. And the Rebbe picked the two groups, one to Yerushalayim, one to Tzvas. And it was the week of Heit Tevis. It wasn't Heit Tevis Begoli yet, but it was that. I remember at Heit Tevis, I used to go every day after Koil to walk into the Maskiris to talk to Rabbi Binyamin Klein, my brother-in-law, and I would ask him, any news, any this. And one time I came and knocked on the door, there was no answer. Then it was like 2:15, 2:20. And he walked out of the Rebbe's room, he looked at me, and walked into the office, and he told me that I'm on the list to go to Eretz Yisroel. And so I said, okay, ready, But he said, no, there's 3 conditions. First of all, you have to get permission from your wife. It has to be b'simcha, and you have to be healthy. And then the name started from that Tuesday or Wednesday till Erev Shabbos. Slowly, all of those that were picked got the answers. And then when it was the first Fabringen was on that Shabbos, I think it was about Yigash maybe. And the Rebbe spoke again about the Shluchim, said the Shluchim said L'chaim. And that's when the Shlichus started. In other words, to get ready, this was Kislev, Tevis, we had to be ready in a month. Yud Shvat, pack up, move to Eretz Yisroel, to Eretz Kodesh.
And
the purpose, the Rebbe did not say in the beginning exactly what the purpose of the Shlichus, but pack your bags and go to Eretz Yisroel. And it was Rabbi Mentlik who was before, on the day of Yud Shvat. The Rebbe said he's not going to zegen part with the Shluchim, but he'll be at the Fabringen of Yud Shvat and Yud Aleph Shvat. We went by the Rebbe and Ganei Natachten. The Rebbe gave money for tzedakah, he gave Sforim, he gave a Sefer Likutei Sichos, the first time that the Rebbe gave Shluchim or Sidim the Rebbe's Sefer Likutei Sichos. It was Chelik Yud Aleph. And the year afterwards, he gave Chelik Yud Beis, and the year after that, he gave Chelik Yud Gimel to the Kvutz of Shluchim that were going. And he gave the women And children also, there were children also. Women got Sefer, a Siddur and a Tanya, and children got just a Siddur, plus money for different things in Stucca for money for expenses in America, money for expenses in Israel, stuck in Eretz Kodesh in different currencies. I think it was also an American currency and Israeli currency. And we left Yud Aleph and we came to Eretz Yisroel on Wednesday. The said Psul Nisas Liyem Revi, Rosh Tevis Levana, and Yisroel Mainim Levana. There were different expressions. The Rebbe said one time at a Farbrengen that the purpose of the shlichus is a hachana to va'atem to look to le'echad echad, what the Eibusha will take every single Jew by hand and bring him to Eretz Kodesh, sort of an aliyah of coming to Eretz Kodesh. And we came to Eretz Yisroel. We didn't know exactly what we were supposed to do, but the younger light were supposed to learn in Kel, Bachram was supposed to learn in Yerushalayim. We were learning yeshiva. There were families, couples came only to Tzvas. And Bachram that were picked, that were chosen to be Shluchim, were learning in Yerushalayim, in Teres Emes, or they were learning in Kel Tzemach Tzedek in the old city. And that was our mission, to sit and learn mitzvahs atluis ba'aretz, kiyum mitzvahs behider. And for several years, for 3.5 years, till Tufchin Lamites, the Rebbe did not, when we asked to come to 770, to come to the Rebbe did not answer to come. And it wasn't until Tufchin Lamites, on Shluchei Shvat, the Rebbe sent a letter to the Shluchim in Eretz Kodesh and said, until now, you were fulfilling the shlichus ba'ofen kloli in a general way, which what we did was learn and Mivtzayim. We traveled the land. We came to all communities, to every kehillah of Chabad in Eretz Yisroel, to different places, and spoke Rebbe. One of the main things that we did in those 3.5 years is brought the Rebbe closer to the community of Eretz Yisroel, to Chabad Chassidim, to the Jewish community in Eretz Yisroel. We spoke about the Rebbe, spoke about Sichos and learning Sichos, and learning the Rebbe's Inyanim, doing the Rebbe's Inyanim. That was our main koch in that 3.5 years. Afterwards, the Rebbe detailed in a letter that the purpose until now was done in a general manner. Now the time has come to settle down each and every shliach in a particular specific shlichus, and each one should choose what he is the best at. And the Rebbe started, the first thing should be Rabbonis, or Dayonis, those that have a shaykhus to it, that's their inyan. Otherwise, to be involved in chinuch and building new meizdas, and even things on Altaras HaKodesh, the Rebbe said. The main purpose of the shlichus is to build the country by living b'gashmias and doing things b'ruchnias. Rabbi Mentlik, wherever he went, said over, wherever he went, even when he came to the Kesel, even when he came to every community, every group, wherever he met anybody, the Rebbe, he said in Yiddish, as the Rebbe geschickt, an Eide Kodesh in Tzvas, an Eide Kodesh in Yerushalayim, und wird sein zufrieden von sie, und sie will sein zufrieden von euch, if the Shluchim will be happy, will be pleased with the people in Eretz Yisroel, the people in Eretz Yisroel will be pleased with the Shluchim, the Rebbe said he will send more. But he just sent a group in Lamed Vov, Lamed Zayin, Lamed Ches.
So Rebbe Mentlik said this when you were going?
He came along with us for the first 2 weeks of the Shlichus. He made sure that everybody was settled, everybody was in the yeshiva. Wherever we had, there was a big gathering in Binyanei Umah for Kabbalah Spanim for the Shluchim. Wherever he went, wherever he came to, he said this statement, as if probably he heard the statement from the Rebbe. One of the Shluchim once told him this is something, a special shlichus. So he would answer, you say it, and I know it. And that there was a special shlichus that the Rebbe sent, not an ordinary shlichus. And obviously purpose was to strengthen the country. It was after the Yom Kippur War in Lamed Dalet, and this was in Lamed Vov. connected with strengthening Eretz Kodesh. And the Shluchim today are spread all over the country. All the big meisters and all the Rabbonis and the positions are held by Shluchim that the Rebbe sent. So they made a Mapecha revolution in Eretz Kodesh.
And when you were in Tzvas, in the Kailo, who was supporting the Kailo? How did that work?
The Kailo was under the Maskiris. The Kailo in general of Tzvas was paid, I think that was Rabbi Kaplan, Label Kaplan, arranged or made an arrangement that the expenses, the Kailo Yungelite, would be paid by Maskiris, the Rebbe's Maskiris, the same Maskiris that pay for the Kailo Yungelite. In Crown Heights, also with the Kailo Shalidei Maskiris, also the Kailo in Tzvas was Ayidei Maskiris, and that's where we got our monthly stipend, whatever. The Bochrim in Yerushalayim were under Yeshiva Teres Emetz, the Tzem of Tzedek. In other words, they slept at their accommodations and their food were all supplied by the Yeshiva Teres Emetz, Tzem of Tzedek.
And the Bachrim ended up staying in Eretz Yisrael also, right? Most of them.
The majority, out of the 44 shluchim the Rebbe originally sent, several left to return to the United States. Some had a heirah from the Rebbe to go back to do, like Yossi Dern was told to take over his father's position as sheikhet. Shalom Duchner was told to take over to build the Keil Chabad office in America. Other shluchim for personal reasons left. The Rebbe said that in the long letter, the 3-page letter that the Rebbe sent, one of the points was also that if a shliach feels that his shlichus wants to continue with shlichus or doing whatever he wants, and outside of Eretz Yisroel, then he can do that. And what he did in Eretz Yisroel is nitzchi l'yelim v'od.
Right. So, but most of you understood from that you're supposed to find something in Eretz Yisrael to continue.
Right. Correct. Right.
So I know.
In fact, after the 3 years, the Rebbe asked that everybody should write and what they want to do, what their interests are, and to let the Rebbe know that you're planning to continue the shlichus, because in the Fabringen, I think it does Kislev or Fabringen afterwards says you'll go for a year or 2, and afterwards we'll see something to that effect. And after those 3.5 years, the Rebbe asked that everybody should, let know that they're continuing the shlichus.
So I know that for many years until today, your main Indian is the Sefer Torah, the Sefer Torah for Yaldei Yisrael, but I believe that didn't start till Mem Aleph, right?
Right.
So what happened in between?
Until Tafshel Lamed Tes, I came to Kfar Chabad to work for Rabbi Leibov and Tzach to do some projects, and after that project finished in Tafshin Mem Aleph, and I was living in Kfar Chabad. I moved to Kfar Chabad in Lamed Tes to work for Rabbi Leibov, and then the project ended. And when the Rebbe announced the Sefer Torah campaign, I was going between one type of work to another type of work, looking for something else. The Sefer Torah came up, and Rabbi Chabad, Rabbi Ashkenazi at the time from Kfar Chabad, approached me, asked me 2 days later, I think it was an Erev Shabbos, Yud Gimel Nissen, if I'm ready to take the project. And no one knew exactly how long the project was going to be, and was it a one-time thing to write a Sefer Torah one time and to continue it? But after the Rebbe finished the first one.
So can you start the story of Sefer Torah? Everyone knows about it, that hopefully everyone signed up their kids right when they're born, and is involved in getting other kids to sign up to be part of it and to have an ace. But what is the whole? How did that whole thing begin, and what was the whole story of the Sefer Torah?
Tafshim Mem Aleph, the Rebbe said on the Fabringen, the night of Yud Aleph Nissen, the beginning of Shnas HaShmonim, the Rebbe said he spoke about the campaign, that the Rebbe wants to start a new campaign and called it writing a Sefer Torah, and the Sefer Torah has 304,805 letters, that amount of children, boys and girls, under the age of bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah, hevel shein bechet, will unite together in the Sefer Torah, and that achdus of Jewish children in a Sefer Torah, the ikar inyan of achdus, vayicham sham Yisroel, she'ish echad is through Torah, for writing a Sefer Torah, that will create a force to bring down Hashem's bracha to the Jewish people, and the Jewish people now are in the need of a Yeshua and bracha. The Rebbe was accomplishing something of Hamshachas bracha for the Jewish people by the writing of the Sefer Torah for children.
What do you mean? What do you mean they're in the need of a Yeshua?
No one knew exactly what the Rebbe meant. The Rebbe did not say at that time exactly what the Yeshua bracha was, but a month later, on Yud Tes Ir, day after Shabbos Pashas B'Chukesa, Yud Tes Ir, the day after Lag B'Omer, that year Lag B'Omer was on a Friday, the Rebbe said that there's a madman in the world who can go into a room and press a button and bring destruction to the entire world, not only to himself. He's a madman. He can't be controlled. You can't predict what he's going to do tomorrow. This person has to be stopped. There's no way to educate him, and there's no time to educate him or to prevent him from carrying out his ideas, his evil ideas. The only thing the Rebbe said then that is a permanent, a continuous mitzvah is the writing of a Sefer Torah.
The Rebbe is referring to Saddam Hussein?
Obviously, he said that the person is ready to press a button. And that time, Saddam Hussein was the one that was threatening to use nuclear activity, nuclear weapons against the Yidden in Eretz Yisroel. And the way to stop it is by writing a Sefer Torah for Jewish children. And the Rebbe said that even at that, the Fabrengen, that Mivtza tefillin is not on Shabbos. Mezuzah, if you don't have a house, you don't have to buy it. Put on a mezuzah. Tzedakah is, when you did the mitzvah, you did it, but it's nitzkid l'mayla. A continuous pu'ula of achdus is the writing of a Sefer Torah. And the Rebbe started with a children's Sefer Torah. And then the Rebbe said, between Lag B'Omer and Shavuos, everybody should get involved in writing and signing up as many children as possible in the Sefer Torah. And everybody in every community, every part of the world should sign up their communities, their children, wherever they can get a hold of, in a letter in the Sefer Torah. That is the call of the hour. Shabbos Pashas Nosei was then Dalid Sivan. Hey Sivan was Erev, Sunday was Erev Shavuos. At the Fabrengen, the Rebbe says tomorrow, Dalid Sivan, all Chassidim, all communities all over the world should stop all of their other activities and get involved in signing up children in the Sefer Torah. The Rebbe said he wants a duch, a report of how many children in each country signed up at that time. Because if you have to give a report, you're going to do things differently. And that Erev Shavuos, when everybody was involved in writing up kids and sending the duch to the Rebbe, at the same time, the Israeli Air Force the government decided that this was the last opportunity before nuclear activity, before the nuclear reactor would start functioning. And destroying it then would create radioactivity over the area, which is dangerous. So it had to be done before the nuclear reactor started. And at that time was Begin at the time that decided that the Israeli government the Air Force is going on a mission to destroy the nuclear reactor. And it was a miraculous mission. They took off from bases in a base in the south of Israel and flew. And it was a difficult mission because there was wind effects and they didn't have enough oil for flying. They had to refuel in air, and they destroyed the nuclear reactor and came back at the night of Shavuos. And that's when the news got out that the threat of the nuclear reactor was removed from the Jewish people. It's interesting that a month before that, in one of the days of Iyar, the Rebbe sent $100 single to Eretz Yisroel that they should be distributed to the sergeant, to Katzinei Tzahal, the sergeant of the army, and they were given out to a meeting of the headquarters, and the dollars were given out also to that Air Force base where the pilots took off on the mission. But again, you saw that the Rebbe was doing something here. And the Rebbe said afterwards that even though you had to do a mission, anything that you do has to be b'derech hateva, you have to do it in natural ways. Nevertheless, the hatzlacha of a mission is the Eibishter's bracha, and especially when it's connected with achdus, which is brought, which was the success, was the reason that Rebbe mentioned it to somebody in Yechidus, one of the Rabbanim in Eretz Yisroel, not a Lubavitcher, that was by the Rebbe. The Rebbe told him that you see that this Mivtza of this campaign to sign up as many children as Sefer Torah was what brought the Eivishter's bracha to stop this Saddam Hussein from his evil intentions. Until today, there are still hundreds of thousands of children all over the world. And maybe from this platform, I can call to anybody that's listening, get as many children as possible wherever they are. All schools should sign up their children. They can do it as a package deal, get all the kids and get all the certificates. Today you get a certificate, a PDF by email as soon as you sign up. A day later, you get 2 days later, you get a certificate. Every certificate has to go through a lottery, which letter belongs to which child. So it takes a day.
That's from the Rebbe, right?
The Rebbe said it should be a grola, not we should decide which letter goes to which child.
Why?
And because the Rebbe said then, there's a minig Yisroel that when somebody buys a letter in a Sefer Torah, he's told which specific letter he bought, or which part of the Torah he bought. The Rebbe said that minig has to be discontinued, not only by children, but even by adults. Because if one child is going to know that he has a letter in a Shem Hashem, and another child is going to have a letter in a word that's the opposite of good or the opposite of pure, there's going to be a difference of feeling between one child and another. And if he's going to worry what letter he has, it might even affect his mazel, which is why children should not be told which specific letter they have. And the human being should not be the one that decides. It should come from Hashem HaGeirel, to decide which letter belongs. We should have it recorded in the office in our files. We have which specific letter belongs to which child. The Rebbe allowed us to do the lottery by a computer program, and that's the way it's done. The letter that comes in gets a letter from the computer. The computer decides.
Already in the beginning, you were doing it by computer?
It took a few months until we got organized to get all the names into the computer and to get the certificates printed. But that's what I asked the Rebbe then if we could do it by computer, and the Rebbe said yes. And that's when we started putting it into computer. We had a program made for as which the name goes in. Not probably one of the modern programs, but 40 years ago, a computer company did it for us. And that's the letter we have recorded in our files in the office. And the child just knows which parsha. The Rebbe said, really, you should not tell him anything. Just tell him he has a letter in the Sefer Torah. Mitzad v'yisim nekiyim, at least tell the child which part of the Torah he has. In other words, which parsha his lottery is the letter that he has. And that's what we do until today.
One of the integral components of being a chassid are the Chassidische Yamim Tovim and Yom Pagra. Whether it's Hey Tevis, Yud Shvat, Yud Aleph Nisan, or Gimel Tammuz. These days give us an opportunity to connect with our Rabbeim, to connect with each other, and be better Chassidim. What is the story behind each of these days? How did the Rebbe commemorate and celebrate these days? And most importantly, what are the lessons, the takeaways, and the action items Hamaisa Hua Ikr needed for each of these days? All of this and much, much more are answered in the new set recently published by Der Herr. Our Days is a journey through the Chabad calendar in story, meaning, and practice. With over 700 beautiful, glossy pages with elevated content, beautiful, beautiful photographs, you, your family, and friends will enjoy and live with each Chassidische Yom Tov. This book is a must for every Lubavitcher home, for every shul, for every school. It is a perfect gift item. This will not collect dust. It will be used day after day, month after month, year after year. You can have the set. Go to derher.org/our days. Order your set today and start living with Chassidus Yamim Tovim. It's interesting that you're mentioning about the Iraqi, the mission, the nuclear in Iraq, saying having just we all lived through just now a similar thing in Iran. It's like an interesting.
In fact, because of the situation in Iran, there was a special assertus. Everybody got involved in lighting up more children in the Sefer Torah, and there was even a plan that because of the situation, we hope that maybe this year we would be able to complete the 9th children's Sefer Torah, but it didn't turn out that way, and there's still 80,000 letters missing, and there's only a month left to make the Siyam on Chaf Av. It's interesting, we're talking about Chaf Av in Tavshin Mem Aleph, when the first Siyam was supposed to be made. The Rebbe wanted it finished by Yud Beis Tammuz.
So the Rebbe started it.
Yud Aleph Nisan.
So Nisan Iyar Sivan Tammuz Av. The Rebbe wanted in 4 months.
In 4 months, less. The pilot finished at the end of Tammuz, so 3.5 months that the Rebbe was able to sign up 300,000 children. He signed up more than 300,000 children, because we had letters left over for the second Sefer Torah. But when the Siyam came around, originally the Rebbe said the latest date to make the Siyam is Erev Rosh Hashanah. The Erev Rosh Hashanah is the Yom from Tzemach Tzedek, and the Rebbe had instructed that the Sefer Torah should be written in Yerushalayim Kodesh, in the old city within the walls, and in the Tzemach Tzedek shul, which is the only shul that remained intact, its walls and its roof, the entire time it wasn't in Jewish hands, shows on Nitzchias. That's where the Sefer Torah should be written. And the Rebbe had a chash maybe that one Sefer would not finish in time. So the Rebbe suggested to take a second Sefer. There were 2 Sofrim that were writing the first Sefer Torah. And those 2 Sofrim, the Rebbe said, should write the second Sefer Torah. One that wrote the beginning should write the end. One that wrote the end should write the beginning. That way each one writes a complete Sefer Torah, and you won't have any problems how to pay each one for a complete Sefer Torah. And then so even though the Rebbe said that the last day to make the Siyam is Erev Rosh Hashanah, but when the Rebbe heard that we're going to finish earlier than that, and so the Rabbanim were sitting and they were talking about making the Siyam Chaf Av, and mentioned it and wrote to the Rebbe that there's plans, an idea to make it a Chaf Av, and the Rebbe said to make the Siyam on Chaf Menachem Av. Then an idea came up from some of the Askanim that the Vad, that it would be hard to get children in summer because everybody's on vacation, or the camps weren't there. There wasn't as many camps in those days, overnight camps or day camps, and as many children as there is in the later years. So there was suggesting an idea to make it in Chodesh Elul when school started, and to be able to bring the schools in, as groups. So the Rebbe said no to the Siyam, and so the Rebbe said no, it should be on Chaf Menachem Av. And a day later, Rabbi Chadakov called Rabbi Yerushalayim, the Mashker of the Bezdin, and said to him, "You heard what you were told yesterday. The Siyam should be Chaf Menachem Av." And when the second Siyam came along in Tavshin Mem Vov, and 5 years later, there was a question. I wrote to the Rebbe, where should we make? We're making the Siyam in Chaf Menachem Av. Should we make it on? The Rebbe gives Mizmaskim, Daskam, and Broch to make it a Chaf Menachem Av. And the Rebbe said, Maskim. And then I asked the Rebbe if the Siyam should be made in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul, where the first one was made, or
that was
maybe
from the Rebbe originally, the first one.
Originally it was clearly, the Tzemach Tzedek. It should be written in the Tzemach Tzedek. The Siyam should be in Tzemach Tzedek.
But wasn't that? And it went to the Kaisel. So there was the
reason was because there wasn't enough room. Originally, the original plan was not to go to the Kaisel, but it was, since there was not enough room in the Tzemach Tzedek, so it came up to make it at the Kaisel. So that was told to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, to make it at the Kaisel. It's a very interesting thing. There was a shaila at the time to make a siyum in a shul. you don't go out of where you make. Usually, you make a siyum outside of the place where you make the achnosa. You write the letters. You finish the letters in a house in a different place, and then you make a talucha to the
To the
shul.
shul.
Now for here, you're supposed to make this achnos in the Tzemach Tzedek shul, but the letters were being written in the Tzemach Tzedek shul. So how can you go out with the Sefer Torah? So Zalman Shimon was sent by the Rebbe, and at the first Siyum Sefer Torah, the Rebbe chose Zalman Shimon's work in the Rebbe 770, Crown Heights, to be the Rebbe's personal shliach emissary to finish the first Sefer Torah, to write the last letter of the first Sefer Torah, and definitely you will start a second Sefer Torah, because as long as there are Jewish children being born, you're going to have to write a second Sefer Torah, a third Sefer Torah, and continue writing Sefer Torah as long as there are Jewish children that need the letter. And Rabbi Zalman Shimon should be the shliach to begin to write the Ois Beis of the second Sefer Torah. So Zalman Shimon was at the Siyum. So Zalman Shimon said that he had the shaila of how to do the Siyum. So, and how can you go to the Kaisel? You can't leave the Tzemach Tzedek shul. So the Siyum of the letters of the first Sefer Torah were written downstairs on the first floor of the Tzemach Tzedek. And on the way out to go to the second floor, we stopped by the Kaisel and then came back and went up to the second floor of the Tzemach Tzedek, where the shul is. That way
Then you made the Haskalah of the second one.
And the Haskalah of the second was also made upstairs, so maybe downstairs. I don't know exactly, remember. Could be it was made even downstairs, because there was a Suda made downstairs, so it could be it was finished after the Suda downstairs. I don't remember, but that was the way the Siyum was made. And the Rebbe wanted as many Rabbonim as possible, Rosh Yeshivas from not Lubavitchers, and the Rebbe then said that the Sefer Torah is not for Lubavitchers, it's for the Jewish community, it's for every single Jew. And even on the certificate, the Rebbe says, don't point out the name of Lubavitch. You have to write signed by the secretary, and you should sign it by one of the people of the Vad. You have to write the address of where the Sefer Torah office is. Kfar Chabad. That's the only thing of Lubavitch that should be on the certificate. The Rebbe suggested to put drawings or pictures of the Mekemis HaKadoshim. The Rebbe pointed out pointed out the Kaisel, Marsha Kever Rachel, Tzion Rashbi, and there was a fourth one of Kever Rachel. When a sketch of the certificate went into the Rebbe to okay it, is number one, he asked that it should be looked over by one of the prominent Rabbanim in Eretz Yisroel, not a Lubavitcher Rov, that there should be that everything should be okay. Kashrus wise, there shouldn't be any questions by anybody. And second, the Kever Rachel was on the right corner on top, and the Kaisel was on the left corner on top. And they never said to switch it, that the Kaisel should be on the right on top, and the Kever Rachel should be on the left, and then the other two Mekemis HaKadoshim. The name of the child should be on the certificate, the date when the letter was bought, and again, as mentioned before, which letter the lottery, in which section of the Torah has a letter in the Sefer Torah, and it should be signed by one of the members of the committee to make it an official document. Over the years, the certificate was changed to make it more colorful, and the Rebbe said that on Hol Eretz HaKodesh should decide to make changes. On the first certificate, there was a date of wanted to make a date, was a date of Purim, and another date, Chof Menachemov. All the certificates had the same date. But afterwards, we changed it to fill in the date, because it didn't take just a few months to write. Not everybody got a certificate at the same time. It took over a period of years. So the date is also changed as the person writes a letter.
You're saying now already there's a system, it goes right away, but then you have to do the whole Torah at once.
At that time, we used a company outside of the office. Now we have our own system, our computer system, and we print the certificates ourselves in the office. So the computer just takes the date that the person gets the certificate printed. That's the date that is on the certificate.
You started saying about the second siyum. You asked it about the location.
Yes, I asked him then because at Chof Menachem, at the second Siyum Sefer Torah took place in Tavshin Mem Vov. Tavshin Mem Vov was the Chanukas Abayis of the 770 of Kfar Chabad. The Rebbe pointed out that whenever you mention the 770, you should say 770 Asher B'Kfar Chabad, the 770 of Kfar Chabad, to distinguish from the 770, the Rebbe 770 in Crown Heights. And so with the Svara to make the Chnos Sefer Torah, the Siyum Sefer Torah was Tezvav Tammuz. And here the scene was a month later, Chafov. So it made sense. But the Rebbe underlined, I asked the Rebbe this or this, and the Rebbe underlined Kamei, just as the first was done in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul. So that's why the second scene was also made in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul, and the third scene was after Gimel Tammuz, and since the Rebbe wanted the second Sefer Torah scene, so all the Siyumim of all the Sefer Torah are in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul. In one of the Sichos, I don't know the date, the Rebbe emphasized that that the Sifrei Torah are in the old city of Yerushalayim. The Rebbe connected it all with Bein HaChemes, within the walls of the old city. It seems that a special bracha for Yerushalayim and is dafke, is especially in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul, within the walls. In fact, if you take a look at it, the Aron Kodesh has all 8 Sifrei Torah, the children's Sefer Torah, in an Aron Kodesh. That means there are almost 3 million children united in the Sefer Torah in one Aron Kodesh in the old city. And the Rebbe in Sichos always mentioned, connected the Sefer Torah of Yaldi Yisrael with Shleimus HaOretz, with Shleimus Yerushalayim in HaKodesh, and a special bracha to the people in Eretz HaKodesh. So I guess it seems that the Sefer Torah, they're all being written in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul, and the Achnosa and the Siyum and the Achnosa are also taking place in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul. Concerning can add a detail that the Rebbe, since the campaign is Achdus, the Rebbe said all the children should be the same. There shouldn't be one difference. One child should not know which letter they have different than another child. Also, the price of the suggested price of a letter for the Sefer Torah should be $1, or its equivalent in currencies all over the world. Since we're in the United States, the Rebbe said, we're setting up this price of one American dollar or its equivalent.
So in Eretz Yisroel, let's say they give 1 shekel, or they give the equivalent of $1.
No, $1. From the beginning,
whatever.
It was like 10 shekel. Today it's almost 4 shekel.
Right.
Today the computer takes 4 shekel. At the time it was 5 shekel when the dollar was close to 5, but now it's set at 4 shekel. And at that time, there was a newspaper, not a very pleasant newspaper in Eretz Yisroel, that wrote an article about the most expensive Sefer Torah in the world. Was the Sefer Torah being written by Chabad? And he made it a calculation. How much could a Sefer Torah be written? He took the price of a value of a Sefer Torah with the siyum, with the celebration, $50,000. 300,000 letters is $300,000. That means you're pocketing $250,000. So this was sent to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe answered, did you explain to them that according to the evaluation of a professional, a mumche, the cost for each child is going to be $2. The cost for the certificate and the mailing and the processing is going to be $2. 3 days after the Siyum Sefer Torah, this was said in the beginning, while the Sefer Torah was being written. After the Sefer Torah was finished and the Siyum was made, one of the Askanim in Eretz Yisroel had a project in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul that needed money and connected with the Sefer Torah for the Aron Kodesh, for the windows, and he wrote to the Rebbe that maybe the Vat Sefer Torah that made a lot of money could help with the expenses in fixing up the shul and whatever was needed for the safe, for the keser. Soon about the keser. And so the Rebbe said that it seems that you don't know what's going on in this world. The child in Olam Hazeh, the child pays only $1 for a letter, and the processing and taking care of the child and with the mailing is almost $3. That means they already between $2 and $3, which means that they're at a deficit today of $300,000. And you want where they have money to help you with to pay for the expense. And that's what it is. Until today, it's approximately mail is almost $3. Send a certificate from Israel to America is $3. Send a certificate in Israel is $1, almost $1. It's 3.6 shekel. It's more than $1 today. And the rest of the expenses comes from either people that the Rebbe said that people can donate to the cause. The letter itself is $1, the cost of $1. If people want to donate to the campaign or help the campaign, they said that is what should be done. And people should help with the expenses of going out and reaching children. The Rebbe said that every community should not have shluchim sent to them, but they themselves should see that all of the children are written up in a letter in the Sefer Torah. All meisdas should see that all of their members and their students should get a letter in the Sefer Torah. That's the only way they can sign up everybody in the world, everybody on the spot, on the place, to gets the children. At a Fabrengen Rosh Chodesh Eir, there was 3 Fabrengens and one after the other. I think Erev Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos and Beis that the Rebbe spoke about every time. At that time, the Rebbe spoke about the Sefer Torah, and that was Beis he spoke about V'chatchila Riber, and at those Fabrengen he spoke about Tzedakah. Reb Zalman Gerari was sitting at the Fabrengen, and he was Sefer from the Rebbe's talk, and he wanted to donate the keser, the crown of the first children's Sefer Torah. He wrote to the Rebbe if the Rebbe will accept his gift. The Rebbe said yes, but there's one stipulation. The Rebbe said that the Sefer Torah, that it should be similar to the Sefer Torah, to the keser that's on Mashiach Sefer Torah. The Mashiach Sefer Torah that was finished in Tafshin Lamed, that the Friedrich Rebbe started Tafshin Beis, it should be similar. The Reb Zalman wrote to the Rebbe, the Sefer Torah of Mashiach is partly silver and partly gold. It's not 100% gold. He would like to donate a keser 100% gold. Will the Rebbe accept it? And the Rebbe said, he'll accept it. And they took pictures and took out the keser of Mashiach Sefer Torah, and they copied it. And the keser that's on the first children's Sefer Torah is similar to the Sefer Torah, the keser on Mashiach Sefer Torah. At a Sefer Torah, at a Fabrengen Ba'aleischa, Tafshin Mem Aleph, the Rebbe said that Mashiach needs 2 Sifrei Torah. Every king, and especially Melech HaMashiach, needs 2 Sifrei Torah. The 2 Sifrei Torah of Melech HaMashiach will be one Sefer Torah, the Kabbalah Shmoni Mashiach, and the second one will be the first children's Sefer Torah, because Yaldei Yisroel are called Mashiach, Altigu b'Mashiachai, Elu T'nekesh Beis Rabbim. The children are considered the anointed ones, the Mashiach of the Eibishter. So those will be the 2 Sifrei Torah of Melech Mashiach, which Chassidim then spoke and said that probably maybe that's the reason that the Rebbe said the 2 ksurim, the 2 crowns, should be similar one
similar.
To another. Yeah.
Interesting. There was also other hirais from the Rebbe with the first one, right? With the mental of the.
Correct. Besides, when the Rebbe sends Zalman Shimon to the Siyum,
I'd say, by the way, it's interesting that it's connected to Rabbanim, right? That it should be Vad Rabbanei Chabad and then Zalman Shimon. It's like interesting.
The Rebbe told Zalman Shimon that he's going out as shliach, but he's also going out as shliach from all the Rabbanim in the United States, from all those that are here in the name of Rabbanim. He's going out to Rov. He's going out to shliach to do this and this, but he's going out to Rov. He also connected it with the Rabbanim. In fact, the Rebbe said that the campaign of the Children's Sefer Torah should not be affiliated with any other Meiser. It should be only under the Vad Rabbanei Chabad, not connected with any other Meiser. Reb Zalman Shimon was given also 12 $100 bills, also money for tzedakah, also a bottle of mashke from a Fabrengen in Russia. The Rebbe spoke about signing up children then, because it was still the Iron Curtain. The Rebbe wanted children in Russia to get a letter in the Sefer Torah. All the certificates that we sent to Russia at that time only had first names, there were no family names. In Morocco, for example, the Rebbe said that a certificate should be made without any mention of Kfar Chabad, of Chabad at all, or just a different certificate. They made a separate certificate after in Morocco.
Not Chabad
Because
or not Eretz Yisrael?
Huh?
Because
Not Eretz Yisrael. No, not
right.
Kfar Chabad. What you'd say is Eretz Yisrael, but I think the Mekaymus Hagdashim, I'm not sure what was on the Mekaymus Hagdashim. I have to take a look on that certificate. Could be there was no connection at all with Eretz Yisrael, that the certificate that was given out in Morocco. And in Russia, the children didn't even receive their certificates. They were left in the office. In fact, all the certificates of children that bought letters in Russia, that family members knew about people in Russia, children in Russia or people in different ways, and we gave them letters only with a first name. 20 or 30 years later, just several years ago, somebody from Russia, who was adult today, came out and said he knows maybe that a letter was bought for him in a children's Sefer Torah. And we went through the box, and he went through it, and he found his certificate of when he was a child in Russia. He found that certificate. The Rebbe designed the mentale, the me'il, that covers the Sefer Torah. The Rebbe drew. There's a drawing of the Rebbe. The Rebbe drew on a piece of paper a square, 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim. Now each luach is 3. The 2 luchas, 3 tvachim, from top to bottom, 6 tvachim.
The picture wasn't 6 tvachim. He wrote that it should be 6 tvachim, right?
Right. It was on a piece of paper, right. It wasn't the size of it. But he wrote that it should be 6 tvachim. Each luach was given gimel tvachim. The Rebbe wrote the word Onechi, and then wrote Beis Gimel Daled Hey, Vav Zayin Ches Yud, and also asked that the Pasuk Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Meroshes Kehilas Yankiv should be written on the mentale, but within the 6 tvachim, the 1 amma of the luchas. In other words, the pasuk should not extend longer than the luchas. It should be within the mezgeret of the luchas. On the Eitz Chayims, on each one of the Rebbe asked for 2 mentale, a blue one and a white one for the Yom Neroyim. In fact, the Rebbe sent $118 for each one of the. I think it was together with the Rebbetzin. For I remember, I was told then that in the name of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, the Rebbe sent for the 2 mentalach $118 for each one, and for the second one, the Rebbe sent it. And Merkis and Rabbi Quincy gave, Rabbi Gron, different times sent $118 for each one of the mentalach that are on the 8 Sefer Torah. The Rebbe gave $118 for each of them, the Rebbe's Kupa. And that was the mentale. On top of the Eitz Chayims should be written 2 psukim. 1, Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Meroshes Kehilas Yankiv, and Eitz Chayim Hi L'Mechazikim Bo. We didn't have the Ksav Yad at the first Siyum Sefer Torah, so we also added the word V'Semchem Ushar. But twice on the Ksav Yad, when we received the Ksav Yad, later it came out in the Torah, the Rebbe just wrote Eitz Chayim Hi L'Mechazikim Bo. So the last 2 Eitz Chaims only have the pasuk Eitz Chaim Hi L'Mechazikim Bo, without the words V'Semchem Ushar. That was the Achlot and the Rabbanim, that we should do exactly what's written on the Ksav Yad.
And I think there was also a hera about the Atzei Chaim, that there should be wood, right?
Rabbi Ruslavsky asked the Rebbe if we can use, I don't know what the question exactly was, if it was, can we make the Eitz Chaims from silver, or should we put silver on top of it, or on the Eitz Chaims, or the Eitz Chaim itself should be? But the Rebbe answered, Eitz Chaims is holtz. Eitz Chaim is wood. So all the Eitz Chaims of the children's Sefer Torah have no silver on it, no even silver plaques on top. Everything is inscribed in the wood of the Eitz Chaim. The 2 psukim are inscribed and written within in the wood itself. At the second Siyum Sefer Torah, the Rebbe also sent 20 coins, 20 matbeas. At that time, there were 5 liras, and 5 liras had a picture of a lion on it. Chassidim, we thought to ourselves, but the Rebbe didn't say why, but the Rebbe sent 20 coins that had a lion on it, and there was 5 5 liras. And we thought at that time that the 20 matbeis is Chof Menachem. Aryeh is the mazel of Chedesh of mazel Aryeh, and 5 corresponds to the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Because on the certificate there's a picture of a wall of the old city that has 5 stones, and although that wasn't the intention, but the Rebbe says even though they didn't have that in mind, but Bashgach Frotas there are 5 stones corresponding to the Chamisha Chumshei Torah.
But it was a hira to put the wall, right?
Not that I remember.
So just the Mekayim Sakadeshim.
There's no hero to put the wall. But since it was the old city was written, so a wall was put on. Maybe the graphic artist decided. I don't exactly remember.
Oh, it's part of what the Rebbe said that should be
He said
done
after
in famous.
Yeah.
And the Rebbe sent the Rebbe sent Reb Zalman Gerari to bring the Keser.
So when he donated the Kesser, it was a $80,000 Kesser at the time. Zalman was in Europe at the time. It was very hot in the summer, and the Rebbe, he got a call from Rabbi Chadikov that the Rebbe wants him to come to Eretz Yisroel and put the Kesser on the Sefer Torah. When he brought the Kesser he came from New York. Zalman came from Schweiz, and I think his grandson Yossi brought the Kesser from Yossi Sternberg brought the Kesser from New York. It was insured, and a safe was made in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul, and the Kesser is kept in that safe at all times. It's taken out only by a siyum or Rosh Hashanah, Sekesteri, and Kippur. That Kesser is taken out and put on the first Sefer Torah. Each one of the Sifrei Torah are in the Aron Kodesh of the Tzemach Tzedek, and every week a different Sefer is taken out to Lenin to be read in. The Sifrei Torah do not go out of the Tzemach Tzedek Shul. They're in the Tzemach Tzedek Shul at all time. In fact, one time they already enlarged the Aron Kodesh, and now for the next siyum they enlarge it another time, so that there should be more room for the children's Sefer Torah. And hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to finish 9th, and as long as there are Jewish children, like the Rebbe said at the first siyum Sefer Torah, that before the siyum of the Sefer Torah, before the first siyum, Mashiach will come, and Kiminig Yisrael that will machabed, Anoshim Chshuvim, special people, with writing the letters of Le'enei Kol Yisrael, so Mashiach will be given that chus to finish the last letters of Le'enei Kol Yisrael.
Was there a Hirosh from the Rebbe of how long, after the first one that the Rebbe said should be done in 4 months, was there a Hirosh of how often it should happen? There wasn't a clear...
No, but he said that the Rebbe said that since it's a second Sefer Torah, you should have extra merits, extra activity, and extra strength. You need more than just what the Rebbe did in the first Sefer Torah. That's why it took several years. The second one finished. Each one took longer than in the later years, in the last few years, because of the new communication between Chassidim and publicity all over the world, whether it's WhatsApp or internet or that is used to spread the message, more people are involved and more children are written up because of that. Besides the fact that there are so many more Chassidim that are involved in the campaign, but the possibility to reach the Rega Echos, so many Jews, everybody, the whole Jewish community, and all Chassidim all over the world, is what helped that more people get involved in signing up children for Sefer Torah, especially now you can do it online, and you can do groups and schools, entire schools within a day. You can just send an Excel file and it goes straight into the computer, processed, a lottery, a printed PDF sent by email, and then the rest takes mail. Mail is very problematic, aside because of the price, aside because of the postal service. Not all certificates get to their place where they're supposed to get. A lot of certificates come back in the mail because of either one detail not correct in the address or or the postman didn't find the place, so he just didn't work himself for getting the place, and which is why it is very important to send an email address on, and especially if you do it online, put in an email address, because that will ensure that the child will see the certificate even before it comes in the mail. That hopefully will come in the mail.
So
A lot of schools don't even ask for the printed copy because they want to give out a copy. And today with modern printers, they put in a thicker paper and get a good colored printing of a certificate that they give out to the children in school because they want it quick. They don't want to wait for the mail.
Right. Is there something from the Rebbe about signing up right away, even before there's a name, or that's minig chassidim? What is that? The way people do it, where does that come from?
Several times by Fabrengen. I remember one time in the beginning, the Rebbe said that a letter should be bought as soon as the child is born. In other words, the first thing that a child should do in Torah mitzvahs is connect with a letter in the Sefer Torah. It's a kesher nitzki. The Rebbe said it several times. I remember one time at the Siyum Chof Menachemov, by the second Siyum, the Rebbe spoke about the Siyum that took place today in Yerushalayim, and Rebbe, and then the Rebbe says, and I want to mention again, and we edited it again, that a letter should be bought as soon as the child is born. And when the child is given a name, you should let the office know what the name is so that we can fill it in. But the letter should be bought right away. There were times I heard from Rabbi Shmuel Greisman once told me that there were times of people that wrote letters, wrote for a bracha, for a refuah, for a child, for a primi, and the Rebbe said, letter in the Sefer Torah. Betach, the child already has a letter in the Sefer Torah. And there were some times that the Rebbe said that they should let us know in the office what name they're planning to give, because having the name will quicken the hamshachas habracha, the bracha from the Eibush to the child. You shouldn't publicize it or print a certificate. It just be quietly to the office without publicity. And when the child is given the name after the bris, then you should let them know and have the certificate printed.
So if you know the name right away, it's before the bris, you're saying it's recommended to write the name to the office in the certificate.
The Rebbe said it only in the case of a bracha for refuah. He said Adarabbi. He said buy the letter right away, and after the bris, let the office know. There were certain cases after the bris, after the child's given the name, let them know the name. It was only in certain instances when a child needed a special bracha that the Rebbe said it wasn't just waiting for the bris, but needed a special bracha for refuah. The Rebbe said to let us know the name.
So practically, the way you're supposed to do it is sign up without a name, and then after the bris, send an email or whatever that there's a name now, and then you have to redo the certificate.
Right. They do it online. It's pointed out that if it's before the bris, fill in no name or before bris something, and let us know. With an email or what the to the office what the name is, and then we'll process it with the name.
And so you're saying that you've seen in recent years that there's much more of an awareness, and people are shluchim are signing up kids, and
correct.
Huh.
There's definitely more of an awareness. There's a lot more publicity today. It's easier to reach the world. It's easier to reach everything in the world. Communication. The Rebbe says to use that communication, all the new developments. And that's what we try and do, and to use it out, and it has its effect. It's a fact that more people are involved, more schools are involved, more children are signed up, because it's more obvious. It's more
right. And so it's interesting. It's like another Indian. It also connects to the Sefer Torah HaKlali, which came out afterwards, right? Among Chassidim is brought to you by Chassidische Der Herr. We live in a chaotic world, a world where for us Chassidim, as a seinu, lei ra'inu, we do not have the ability to hear and see the Rebbe on a daily basis. Yet we know that the Rebbe is very much with us, and the Chassidus Chabad is alive and thriving more than ever before. One needs to only tap into it. Chassidische Deher provides you and your family with the tools necessary to tap into all of this. Whether it's the monthly magazine, the way it all began, whether it's Deher books, Deher online content, and so much more. Men, women, and children throughout the world benefit and use these tools on a daily basis. Whether it's children enjoying the children's magazine that comes along with the regular Deher, or enjoying the children's podcast, whether it's Bachrim in yeshivas receiving the Deher, whether it's girls in high schools enjoying their hair club in their local high school. People all over the world and from all walks of life enjoy and utilize these tools and take advantage of it. If you're not already subscribed to the Deher Monthly Magazine, do so today at derher.org. That's derher.org. Deher is a dynamic organization which is committed to continue providing these tools, grow on a constant basis, and do all that we can to help this effort. Baruch Hashem, it takes a lot of resources and finances to make this all happen. You can be part of Deher through your financial support as well, through visiting our website derher.org, or through contacting us to setting up a meeting. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
At the end of the year, on Tavshin, Erev Rosh Hashanah of that year, Rosh Hashanah Tavshin Beis, the Rebbe said, I got a complaint from a Jew in Israel. And he said, why am I involved only with children? Hevel Shein Bechet, what about adults? We also want letters in the Sefer Torah. So the Rebbe said he's going to start. He did have an interesting point. He didn't say the word Hevel Sheyesh Bechet. He said Hevel that shayches to that could perhaps come to Chet. The Rebbe didn't say Chet. And so right after Rosh Hashanah, the Rebbe will announce the campaign, and at the Fabringen of the second day of Rosh Hashanah, the Rebbe said that now that we finished the children's Sefer Torah, I don't remember the Maramokim, but I remember the Rebbe saying it, that now that we finished Achdus with children, and it's easier to create Achdus by children because their deis, their opinions are not so opposite one from another, and their Achdus is easier for children, but since we brought down Achdus in the world, now we can start Achdus with adults. And we need this quick Achdus. And the Rebbe said Tamchi Tmimim and Beis Rivka should each write a Sefer Torah for their members, for their students, for their families. And a question was asked, how can you take a letter in the Sefer Torah of Beis Rivka or Tamchi Tmimim from somebody that's not a student of Tamchi Tmimim, or what, not an alumni of Tamchi Tmimim? So the Rebbe said that as soon as they give money for a letter, they become connected with the Mesa, they become a supporter of the Mesa. So Mamela is already shaykhs to Tamchi Tmimim and Beis Rivka. So they can have shaykhs to that Sefer Torah. And then that was with the beginning. We started with Tamchi Tmimim. I think till today Tamchi Tmimim wrote about 6 or 7 Sefer Torah. Beis Rivka wrote many Sefer Torah. And I don't know exactly if they're writing one today, but there are other places in the country, in the world, like in Eretz Yisroel, Rabbi Yerushalayim in Kiryat in the north, and in the Kiryot, writes a Sefer Torah Klali, and that is active, continuously active of getting letters in the Sefer Torah. And but originally the Rebbe started the campaign with Tamchi Tmimim and Beis Rivka.
It's very interesting that the Yaldi Yisrael and the one for adults, Sefer Torah Klali, has it's a very different function. Saying the Sefer Torah Klali is written by Meistis, and there's multiple of them. Yaldi Yisrael, it's like a standalone organization. It's a whole different formula.
Right. There's only one Sefer Torah written being for children. For adults, there were Meistis, different Meistis that asked the Rebbe if they can write a Sefer Torah Klali, and the Rebbe allowed it. But then what started happening was everybody started writing a Sefer Torah, and then at two different sichos in Tishrei, Tavshin and Beis, the Rebbe said there's no inyan, there's no purpose in writing many Sefer Torah, because the purpose is that each Sefer Torah should be completed, filled up with 300,000 people buying letters. And if everybody's going to have a Sefer Torah, you won't be able to fill up a Sefer Torah. That means those that started already should continue, but there's no Indian to write another Sefer Torah kloli. People write Sefer Torah for themselves, or even a whole Sefer Torah for themselves. But the Rebbe said that's Be'ein Areich. It doesn't compare to a Sefer Torah kloli, where each person buys only one letter, because that way more people, more Yidden unite in a Sefer Torah. 300,000 the Jews write in a Sefer Torah. Now, the more Jews, Yidden, that join in the Sefer Torah, the Achdus is a greater one. So that's why Sefer Torah is different. And the Rebbe said, even if somebody writes a Sefer Torah for themselves, it's not compared to and not the erech to a general Sefer Torah where you're misachid in a pool of tmidis with Yidden all over the world, which is what the purpose of the campaign is Achdus. And if I bring in Vayishlach Bemal from Membeis, I think, the Rebbe said that the Mivtza of Sefer Torah is a sniff. It's a branch of the Mivtza of Eretz Yisroel and Eretz Yisroel. It's the same idea. It's interesting that the Mivtza of Yud Aleph Nissen of Sefer Torah is connected with Achdus, and also the Mivtza, the Takon of the Rebbe on the Rebbe called it sometimes also a Mivtza Rambam. Basically, Takona, that is also an union of Ardus, that everybody, the Rebbe said that Yidden Klal Yisrael should be learning the same thing. Interesting, but Mem Aleph, Mem Dalet, and Dalet Mem, the Rebbe, these two inyanim are the Rebbe's inyanim. The Rebbe said it's a thing that the Rebbe took upon himself. The Rebbe said on these mitzvah, eine von der Sachen was genommen of sich, by also on the Rambam and also on Sefer Torah, like the Rebbe took it upon himself. Like a special Indian, not like a mitzvah, all the other mitzvahs are mitzvahs and Torah. But this idea of Achdus or Sefer Torah and learning Rambam, the kind of Rambam, are like private things that the Rebbe said upon it. I took it upon myself for Klal Yisrael. Both of them inyanim of Eretz Yisroel and Achdus Yisroel, which Kiyadua, that's the stammer, how basic Indian, one of the how important thing that the Rebbe wants from Chassidim, from Klal Yisrael. The Achdus brings bracha. Kiyadua Aleph Beis, Aleph is Achdus, the Beis is bracha, Achdus is mamshel bracha, and that's what the Rebbe wanted with the campaign. Achdus will bring Mashiach. The Rebbe said.
And I'm saying every Farbrengen, when the Rebbe mentioned the Ten Mivtzaim, afterwards the Rebbe mentioned the Eis Sefer Torah. I'm saying that's a direct hemshot to the Ten Mivtzaim.
Kamat every time. There were some times that the Rebbe did not mention Sefer Torah for whatever reason, and the Rebbe once explained that he's not mentioned. He didn't mention it because most Yidden have letters in Sefer Torah, and it's something that for a reason that. But every time the Rebbe mentioned it. And Tavshem Menvov was the last time that the Rebbe B'chlal mentioned all the Mivtzaim. Before the Siyum Sefer Torah, the second Siyum Sefer Torah, the Rebbe said that everybody should be Mishtatev, Begufay, Benafshay, B'mamoynei, in the Siyum Sefer Torah. And then he mentioned all the Sifrei Torah, all the Mivtzaim. After they said, and also the mitzvah that we took up, that we took upon ourselves, a letter in Sefer Torah, and that was the last time that the Rebbe really counted out each one of the Sefer Torah. Memzayim and Ches afterwards.
The Mivtzaim.
He said Mivtzaim or Mivtzaim Klolium and Yonim Klolium, and from even after that, Memches till Nun Beis, the only place that the Rebbe mentioned the word Mivtzaim was in the Michtav Kloli, in the Bracha of Yutas Kislev, the telegram of Yutas Kislev. The letter, the Michtav to Yutas Kislev, mentions the Rebbe, the word Mivtzaim. After that, the Rebbe used a different lashon for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But that was after Memzayin time. Because was some of the last time. Sometimes he mentioned a few of them Mivtzaim, not even all of them Mivtzaim.
You're saying that the Seder that the Rebbe had at the end of the Farbrengen to mention all the Mivtzaim, the Rebbe stopped doing that.
Right.
And you were living in Kfar Chabad while doing this?
Yes.
Or you living?
Yeah.
The whole time.
No, Kfar Chabad, I lived in Kfar Chabad until Tavshem Gimel was when we went to get involved also with the with my wife wanted to get involved with English speaking Balchuvas and students in Yerushalayim, so we moved to Yerushalayim. But I was thinking what to do with the Sefer Torah, but the Rebbe, I was told to continue with the Sefer Torah, and the lashon that I heard from Rabbi Klein at the time was from Danan, Veistman nor dear. From here we know only you for the children's Sefer Torah. And it was at that time in Tavshem Gimel that the responsibility of the campaign was given. In the beginning, there were many people involved in the Sefer Torah, but after the first Sefer Torah, a lot of the people that were involved only in the first went to do different things, and I was the only one that remained. And it was then that the Rebbe recognized that there's one person in charge. And if I bring in Vayetze Mem Beis, after the general Sefer Torah started, and the Rebbe said that if that's Vabringen, that it's a Kedera de Beishutva. There's too many people, too many cooks in the pot, in the pot. And you're not going to succeed. The Sefer Torah is not going to move. The general Sefer Torah is not going to move.
It's not about Yad Yisrael. This is the
general Sefer Torah.
Yeah.
That the only way that there'd be a successful campaign is if there's one person, a responsible Meshugalei Zedover, that he's in charge of the campaign. Otherwise, the lashon is Kedera de Beishutva. That's what I remember. Meshugalei Zedover, one person. That's the lashon, that Meshugalei Zedover, that he's involved totally in that Indian. That's when I understood at that time also that if the children's Sefer Torah is going to continue, there has to be one person that's his Indian, and that's his main Indian, and that even though I did other things and other projects throughout the years in Yerushalayim, and I go to Shluchei Kodesh in Israel, and different campaigns and different other time, but my main thing that I was involved in was Shluchei Kodesh, was the children's Sefer Torah, and that's what it is.
So back to the beginning of the Shlichus in Eretz Yisroel. So in the beginning, Tav Shalom and Vav, you're going to Tzvas. I'm saying there's no mission. You don't know what the Shlichus is exactly, or how it's supposed to work. And here you are, writing the 9th Sefer Torah, and this is your Indian. So it's like, this is what you think about the whole Shlichus. I mean, this is one hispatos of that Shlichus. That's
sure.
In each of the other Shluchim have their own other. But this is also not only affecting Eretz Yisrael; it's affecting the whole world.
Yeah.
All
the Shluchim, the Rebbe wanted each and every shliach to find a specific thing to do, whether to open a Chabad house, open a Meser, or become a Rav, or become Dayonis, or education. And Baruch Hashem, the Rebbe said, well, we were in the beginning, that Baruch Hashem, the Shluchim were Matzliach, we made a Ma'pecha. The Iker Ma'pecha, we feel that we did in Eretz Yisroel, was to bring the Rebbe closer to Anash in Eretz Yisroel at that time. Not everybody was in 770, not everybody went to 770, not everybody had videos. The fact that there were, Chassidim didn't even have, I remember bringing the first video machine in Tavshem Mem Zayin. My wife and my son were in Crown Heights for by the Rebbe, and Hey Tavis, my wife was supposed to have a ticket to come back on Hey Tavis. And then saw the action happening at 770, so I told her to stay another day. And she stayed till Lvov, and she came back Zion. And that night when she came back, she brought with her a video machine, a little television screen with a video machine, and got from Chaim Baruch a cassette of the Hey Tavis. And that was the first, that we presented. Everybody started coming to the house to see the Fabring. It was the first time people saw videos from the Rebbe that started in Mem Zayin.
But there was no hookup to the Fabringen?
There was a hookup, but it wasn't visual. It was like...
there was no visual ever in the Mems?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe. There was always videos. The videos also we started Well, also the audios we had to push the shluchim to push. Laser Lichtenstein started
The hookups.
the hookups. Mullah Grifkin started in Kfar Chabad, and we pushed it. We were up nights to find out if the Rebbe was coming back from the Eil. It would be a surprise for bringing or not. And a lot of Farbringers came to Eretz Yisroel, but schus the shluchim, but in the middle of the night, and we were into it and finding when the Rebbe was coming back. Is it going to be Farbringing?
You're saying until then, maybe the hookup was done on the major days,
Right.
when they knew in advance, and here
Right.
it happened much more often.
Right. And because of the shluchim that lived 770, were more excited about getting involved in it and woke up the Israeli community to
they didn't have access. They did, they didn't know what's going on.
Tafshin Lamed was the first. Tafshin Lamed was the first hookup that
existed.
Grifkin made in Kfar Chabad from Yitzhak Godel. Yeah, there was a hookup.
It reminds me of the first shluchas to Eretz Yisroel that the Rebbe sent, Tafshin Tezayin, when the Rebbe, after the massacre in Kfar Chabad, and the Rebbe sent the shluchim. It reminds him a little bit of that, because we did articles about it. We actually had an event once of all the shluchim, and it was a similar thing that some of the older people, now today they're older, but then they were young. That was the first time they had access and hearing a fresh regards from the Rebbe. So that was mamish. Tafshin Design, they didn't know anything. They probably didn't have pictures of the Rebbe even, or very few. But here it was I guess the next shlav in that bringing, connecting the Lubavitch and Eretz Yisrael to the Rebbe in New York.
That's what we feel. That's Baruch Hashem. All Chabad houses started opening up after Tafshin Lamed Vav. There were very few, the excitement of going out and being ma'ared everybody to go out on shlichus started after those years, because the Rebbe wrote in the letter that one of the things is to open up new mesas, new Chabad houses, and that's what we spoke about. And when we made a tumult wherever we went, wherever we farbrang, shlichus, to go out there to shlichus and do the Rebbe shlichus. And Chabad, then that's when Chabad houses were very few Chabad houses at the time. That's when, after the shlichus and Lamates, that's when it started growing and then growing and growing. Baruch Hashem, today there's thousands all over the country.
Yeah. And those that went, was there any it was picked by the Rebbe, that original group? We don't know exactly.
That's what we were told, that the Rebbe had the list, and that were given in. Not everybody was at the beginning. The Rebbe said you have to be a year before the wedding, a year after the wedding, not affiliated with any other Mesid, and everybody should sign up. There were a lot of older Siddim that signed up at the time. Everybody that signed up that wanted to go. There were married couples in Crown Heights that signed up, but I guess the Rebbe could be the Maskiris gave in those names that were shaykhs that had the criteria, and the Rebbe picked from those lists. The first group, there were two groups that went. They went. One group went to Tzfas, and another group went to Yerushalayim. Bigger families, married couples went to Tzfas, and Bochurim went to Yerushalayim. The second group, the Rebbe sent only families, only 6 families that went to Tzfas, and there were no Bochurim to Yerushalayim. For whatever reason, could be there were problems with the accommodations, but there were no for the Bochurim. And the third group was, again, 8 couples to Tzvas and 8 Bochurim to Yerushalayim. And the famous letter that afterwards that they have a point to detail what a shlichus is and what it should be and what should we be involved with. Baruch Hashem, why the Rebbe stopped after Tafshin Lamed Ches is a different reason. Nobody knows why. But, hard to know.
Yeah, I guess that also makes it a unique group. That it's these 3 years. It's this is the the pillars. I don't know.
But
That's the way it is. I don't know.
But Benjamin Klein told me that he knows that the Rebbe's plan was to send a group every year. Why it stopped? Tzorich here.
Mm-hmm. You don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Can I go backwards to before the shlichus?
Okay, try.
What? So you're learning in Bedford and Dean. You're by the Rebbe every Shabbos. Like, how did it work? You didn't live in Crown
I
Heights, right?
didn't live in Crown Heights. I lived in very few times that I went. In those years, my family was not a Lubavitcher family, and they wanted me to get in Limud Yichel, secular education. The fact is that a lot of Lubavitchers also were were in elementary for sure. A lot of them still all the Torah started without the Limud Yichel. That's one of the reasons that all the Torah started. There shouldn't be any Limud Yichel at all. But till the 8th grade, there were some Lubavitchers that continued 9th grade, then dropped out, some 10th, some 11th, some even finished. But I finished 8 grades of elementary and 4 years of high school. I got a degree in high school. And my parents, of course, like anybody that grew up in America at the time, of all the couples, all the families that came over from Europe, wanted their children to get a college education.
Your parents are Holocaust survivors?
Yeah, sure. They went through the war. They came out in 48. They came to America. They went through camps in Russia and in Italy and came to the United States with lots of... and they wanted their children, of course, to get a college education. And there were difficulties, the difference of opinion, my opinion, their opinion. And it took a while and a lot of support from the Rebbe.
You asked the Rebbe about this?
The long yechidus from the Rebbe about...
what happened by the yechidus?
Basically, the Rebbe explained what college is, what a university is, and it's not a place for a bacher.
You had yechidus with your parents?
No, myself. But he gave me guidance and direction how to talk to my parents and how to, and then they agreed. Slowly, they agreed.
What was the guidance?
To get somebody that knows someone that a child would not be able to influence their parents, to get someone in the outside that knows their characteristics. The Rebbe used the Lashon characteristics spoken Yiddish, and to explain to him, to influence him, to be mashpia on them, to let me stay in 770. And that's what happened.
But by you,
so that's probably the reason. But my class went to Newark, Chav Ches and Chav Tes, but I went straight to 770.
Because what?
For whatever, for personal reasons, whatever. So
you say to be near your parents.
Whatever, yeah, different circumstances.
So by you, it was clear that you didn't want.
Yeah, big problem,
So your question for the Rebbe was how to talk to your parents. It wasn't a question about whether you should go to college or not.
Right.
Because there were other people I know that wanted to go to college, and the Rebbe told them, the Rebbe had to tell them that that's not a good idea. So you're saying it was a different...
but the Rebbe in Yechidus strengthened that opinion of not going to college by telling me what college is all about. One of the expressions that Rebbe used, one of the expressions of it, with the longest Yechidus Mustam from almost 20 minutes, but that the Rebbe says, I know what college is, I know what university is, I myself was in college. I know what goes on there. I know who the professors are. I know what the environment is. But I was 28, and I was after marriage. I was married. And for a bacher, it's a big nisayon. It's not. And
oh.
So not until today that the people say what nobody knows. They don't publicize what goes on in universities. Just lately. Most professors are apikursim. It's a big nisayon for a bacher who was 18 or 19 or 17. That was a lesson that I've used. The nisayonus are great, and it's not a place for a bacher.
So you went to 770 at 18. Was that typical then, or most? You said already, most people not.
Yeah, not typical.
So you were like the youngest bacher in 770.
Yeah. A lot of the Bachram I met then were Bachram that learned in Bedford by Yale Shiurim, in Yeshiva Ketana. But when they went to Mesivta, well, I used to go home, but the older Bachram came in those days.
So you were in the Yeshiva Ketana, you were in the high school. It's a different thing.
No, Limud Chayil was the same. Limud Kodesh was the same. And it stopped at 3 o'clock. Limud Chayil was from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. From 5 o'clock I went home, but the elder Bachram came to Yale, would come to Bedford. And at 5 o'clock or whatever, to give a shiurim for the Bachram that stayed, for the Bachram that didn't go to Limud Chayil.
She's saying those are the Bachram you met in 770.
When I came to 770, I met him in 770. I met him then also. I knew them. I saw them around. But Bachram then, the Yavne v'Chachamel, the shlichus of Shluchim to be Makar the younger Bachram, it probably started a little bit later. Today you have Bachram will go all over Shluchim, and wherever they see a Bachar from whoever they needs help, they get involved with helping. That wasn't so popular at the time for whatever reason.
You were just in 770 the whole time. What was happening?
I'm talking about when I was in Bedford. I'm talking about when I came to 770. I was in 770, whatever.
How many Bachram in 770 then?
The Zal was upstairs. The learning was upstairs. There was a time that they started a share in the Viber Shul, where they would run his offices. That was a part of the Viber Shul. There was another class, the first class of 770, I think was there in that class. The English share from which the right board gave a share. And that's when I started.
What year did you say this is?
Chavches, Tafshil Chavches.
So there was still a Viber Shul by...
that was the Viber Shul. That room was the Viber Shul. There was no afterwards till they broke the walls and they met.
And what was it like Tafshil Ches in 770 by the Rebbe? I'm saying you saw the Rebbe on Shabbos by Mincha Ma'ariv. Like what was the interaction? What was the interaction?
Rebbe?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What Bachram do today? I mean, we do all the years. You come to Davening, you come to Shachar. It wasn't Shachar then. They only came out to Kriya. Until Memches, they never didn't come out to Davening with the minyan. Just came out to Kriya on Mondays and Thursdays. Then it was Yechidus nights. A lot of Bachram we stayed up all night for Kriya.
You stayed up all night every night of Yechidus?
Whenever there was Yechidus, most nights, to stay in Yechidus, and then a lot of times there was Kriya in the morning.
What was the idea? That the Rebbe's at 770, so therefore we need to be there? What was the idea?
I don't know exactly what my thoughts were at the time, but that was it. 770, that's where we live. So
you spoke to the people. You spoke to the people that were coming out of Yechidus?
No, no. There were people that did, but I didn't. Unless they spoke or they came out in the Zal and they spoke and said things, then I'd listen. But I wouldn't approach anybody to ask them what the other Bachram did it. And we're here. We can't, everybody surround one person, but with those Bachram that did it, then we asked them what they heard and what they said, and they would repeat it, and we would hear what went on. I don't really remember things today. Everything is recorded. Everything, we have Yomanim, and we have Yechidus, and people are involved in getting stuff, and everything is printed. I don't remember. I don't have memories. I don't have a memory for everything, so I don't remember these things.
Okay. Okay. So hopefully there will be many more Yidden that will make sure that they're doing all that they can to sign up for more children for a specific Torah for Eretz Yisroel. And
everybody should get involved in their shlichus and find a Zohar Tfei. Everybody needs a Zohar Tfei. They can Meshuggah over what that thing could they do with a different chayavs. We should all get involved in the campaign, aside from Ardus, Avis Yisrael, and Ardus Yisrael. And today, the campaign, the Lahavi L'Maisa Mashiach, to bring Mashiach, Kipshuti, Lamata Masoret Fachim, the Zagalas, the Korov Mamish, and everything, Limud in Yani Shel Gula Mashiach, which that's the main campaign today. Everything is choder, everything is permeated. with every letter in the Sefer Torah, like we say, Od Ot Kum Mashiach. In other words, Od Ot Kum Mashiach. Every letter is another step to bring Mashiach closer, and every pull that everybody does and get involved in the Rebbe's and Yanim to finish this goal is to bring Mashiach. Amen.
It should happen now.
Amen. Yeah.
Shakeach Rabbi Greisman. Atzlach
Okay.
Rabba. Thank you.
You too. Bye.